Welcome back to the Crypto Trends Podcast, where we cover all things cryptocurrency, blockchain, Web 3.0, and AI. I'm Robert Croak, and I'm joined by my co-host, Armando Pantoja. Both of us and our amazing team are excited to bring you the best information, guidance, and strategies each and every Wednesday. So follow along and always remember to take notes and take action. So Armando, it's a new year. There's a lot of things happening in the crypto market, and I think today is the day we kind of just walk everyone through what is happening, why are markets doing what they're doing, and what's next in our opinion. So for me, talking point number one is the recent announcement of Trump's day one crypto strategies. What's he going to do? What's he going to initiate? And how much of it is actually going to happen based on what we've been seeing in the news and what he's been saying? So walk our listeners through your thoughts of day one. Is crypto going to be top of mind? I saw in the predictive markets, they're already betting if Trump would say and how many times he would say Bitcoin or Dogecoin in his inauguration speech. So let's walk through that, talk about it a little bit, and how it affects the markets immediately after the January 20th inauguration.
Yeah, I would say that in the inauguration address, he's going to say it a couple of times. Because it was such a point during the election, and the crypto community pushed him. It's arguable that they pushed him to victory at the end of the election cycle. So we're watching really for two things, right? One is for him to do a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And like I said, is that I've been talking to people over the last week or so, and a lot of people are asking, is that a sell on the news event if that does happen? Now, I don't think it is. And the reason why is because crypto is immature. Nobody's sure what Trump's going to do. I even saw some on the prediction markets. There's some arguments back and forth if Trump even is able to take office because of, all the threats and all this stuff, and maybe some, like January 6th that happened before, maybe some riot. So it's a lot of uncertainty around first of all, Trump getting in office. Well, I don't think that's too big of a risk, but people still see it as a slight risk. Then you put on top of that the risk of him backing out of what he said. So that's another layer of risk. Then the third layer is crypto itself, which most people still, for some weird reason, see as risky. So you have three layers of risk that the average run-of-the-mill person is seeing in the crypto market. So when something is that risky to the average person, it's not a sell on the news event. Now, sell on the news events normally happen when you're pretty sure some company like NVIDIA is going to announce blowout earnings. The stock will move up until that. They'll announce those earnings, but everybody expects it to happen, and then there'll be a sell-off. But that was almost a guaranteed event. But Trump getting in office, for one, and secondly, actually doing what he said, and third, is it affecting the price of cryptocurrency? People don't know if that's going to happen or not. So it's going to be really, I think, the opposite. It's going to be a buy on the news event like when he got elected.
Yeah, there's a ton of bullish news out there around cryptocurrency, but there's also a lot of challenges. I think the Bitcoin reserve could be a great help to the U.S. economy and the dollar down the road, but I don't see it happening day one. But with El Salvador and other countries adopting this strategy, more and more, this is going to put buying pressure on Bitcoin and inventory pressure, which will lead to higher prices. So I think it's all good news in the long run. And for today, I think the best thing we can do for our audience is to get everyone to understand this is a long-term investment strategy, and you can't have these knee-jerk reactions every time there's negative sentiment or negative news. So that brings us to point number two, manipulation and volatility in the crypto markets. Crypto is no stranger to price manipulation and volatility, and recent price swings in Bitcoin and Ethereum have definitely raised further concerns about manipulation. We've seen a lot of whale activity, and we've seen some big sell-offs, and I think a lot of this profit-taking has caused people to have these knee-jerk reactions. I'm even seeing some of the fake gurus talk about that the bull market is over for crypto. And in my opinion, I still feel like we're not even at halftime, that we have a long ways to go. So walk our listeners through, because the more we can educate people, I think the better off people will be in their crypto portfolios themselves and moving forward on how to invest properly in cryptocurrency.
Yeah, I want to just say I'm a big believer in your mantra, when in doubt, zoom out. You know? And I think that's something that a lot of us have to apply to cryptocurrency, specifically here, but in stocks and in our overall lives as well. And that's normally where you see the full picture. So, a lot of people, if you look at cryptocurrency, really from the last, 2011 to now is 16 years. Yeah, 16 years crypto's been out. That's crazy. I did the math. So at the beginning, from like 2009 to 2011, I didn't know it existed. I figured it out in 11. I started getting into it. You got into it very early. From 2011 to 2015, nobody mentioned stock charts, market cap. Nobody talked about any of these things, technical analysis. None of that was involved in crypto. It was just like, it was a commodity. You buy it, the demand will go up. So long term, you're going to make some money from it. That's what it was. And a lot of the maxi said eventually it will be the currency that we all use. So you will never go back. So that's where we were. But then around 2015, really 16, 17, we saw a big retail influx into cryptocurrency. And then we saw all these people come in and try to take their Forex and stock metrics and apply them to cryptocurrency. Right. And that's what it's been since then. So people still try to apply that stuff to crypto, and it doesn't work like that. In the long term, I think we're going to see that these things don't work, because cryptocurrency is more like a commodity or something of that nature. And it's not a stock, and we keep trying to apply stock metrics. But back to the manipulation and everything that could happen is that I think what's really going to happen is that when Trump, I really strongly believe he's going to announce a strategic reserve, and that's going to cause a lot of other countries to have to jump in and match what the U.S. is doing. So I think a lot of that manipulation and all this stuff that's been happening up until now with the main current coins will stop. With the meme coins and stuff, that will always happen. People will always manipulate. And like we said on the last episode, most of the stock market is manipulated. If you look at the stock market as all encompassing of the OTC and the pink sheets and everything like that, most of it's a scam.
Yeah, even on a bigger level, though, we saw this front and center last week with NVIDIA CEO Jensen, where he talked about quant computing is 15 to 20 years away, and all of the quant-related stocks plummeted 30, 40, 50% off of one person's word without people thinking through what he said and why he said it. And it's so important because that is manipulation. It's not illegal, but it's manipulation because he has the biggest and most talked about stock in the markets over the last 2-3 years in NVIDIA. So for him, he is protecting himself legally by saying these things. Now, do I believe quantum computing is still a little ways off? Yes, but I don't think it's 15 or 20 years off like he stated. I think it's 2 to 5 years off before we'll see meaningful difference, but that doesn't mean I'm not investing in it now. So manipulation is everywhere, and it's really important for everyone to think deeper. If there's one thing you can take away from this episode, think deeper. When someone very, very big like Jensen or Elon or Jamie Dimon says something that is very, very divisive, understand and take a moment to pause and think, why would they say that? Because as soon as you understand that is legal manipulation for their shareholders and their own good, the better off you'll be when investing long term, because it's so important to understand that. And so let's talk about volatility a little bit. We're seeing this volatility because as the market matures, as more and more countries are getting involved quickly, we're going to see manipulation and we're going to see volatility because all the big whales, the big family offices, and the people out there are going to take these quick profits. They're not used to being able to buy an asset and have it go up 30, 40, 60% in a 3-4 month period and being able to take profits that quickly, because usually the stock market is a much longer game. And so you have to remember, like you said, when in doubt, zoom out, because these short-term manipulation and volatility events mean nothing for the long term of cryptocurrency and Bitcoin.
Yeah, I agree. I think over time, Bitcoin will start to have less volatility. That happens normally with every asset in the world. And back to the manipulation of Jamie Dimon, Elon Musk, whoever, Jensen, I always tell people, I said, look back in when Henry Ford created the first commercial automobile and he started selling it. And Henry Ford's lawyer wanted to invest. I'm sorry, it may have been Thomas Edison's lawyer. It was a lawyer. And Thomas Edison said, do not invest in Ford. The automobile is a trend. Do not put your money in that company. And now, if he would have put his money in that company, I think $1 would have turned into like $1 million over the next 30, 40 years. But it wasn't because, and people always say, well, if Buffett says it, it must be true. Thomas Edison was one of the smartest men in American history. He was that time's Steve Jobs. He created hundreds of inventions that we use still every day, more advanced, but every day. just because somebody's smart, successful, and maybe they can't see everything, and sometimes they have an axe to grind. He may have not wanted to see it, or maybe he said it just to stop. Just like Jensen, he's the person, the number one person in the entire world who benefited from classic computing the most is Jensen, the CEO of NVIDIA.
Yeah.
So he would have a mental block against anything that was against his success.
Yeah, and you have to look at it too. Even if we bring up Peter Schiff. He's a gold maximalist, has been for decades. He's been talking bad about Bitcoin and crypto for years now because he has the most to gain if he doesn't have gold go down in price and value, because people are migrating their money. Wealthy people are migrating their money away from gold into Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a better store of value, in my opinion. I own gold. I own silver. Precious metals have always been pretty good, but I don't think they're as good as Bitcoin, Ethereum, and some of the other cryptos. So always please do a deeper think on things and really understand, why is this person saying this? Because I promise you they're not saying these things to make things better for you. They're looking out for themselves and their investors, and that is super important. So let's go into one that is a little bit more off the beaten path here, but I think it is very important relative to the stock market and what will happen in the crypto market, because everyone making money on TikTok with TikTok shops and through being influencers, it is a younger demographic, and most people that own cryptocurrency are between 18 and 44 years old. So that is definitely the TikTok audience and the TikTok influencers. So let's talk through the news yesterday that broke that Elon Musk is eyeing buying TikTok and in talks of doing this, because I know there are other groups that are trying to pull this off before the ban occurs in this coming week. So let's talk about that a little bit, because I think it's intriguing. I think it could be really great news. And at the end of the day, I mean, we have a lot to lose if TikTok goes away, but a lot of people are looking at it wrong. They look at TikTok, oh, it's just a fun app where people watch videos and they doom scroll. They don't realize the tens of millions of people that make a portion of their living from TikTok like we do. And so that is one of the things that I want to talk about today, because there is more to TikTok getting banned than it just goes away and we can't watch videos. There are tens of millions of people that will lose their income overnight if it goes away, which will then directly affect the U.S. stock and crypto markets because the age of that audience and the people using the platform. So let's talk about that a little bit, your thoughts on it, because I think it's important to touch on as it relates to the economy and the crypto market.
Yeah, 2020 was really a watershed moment for cryptocurrency on social media. That's when, all the TikTokers started talking about crypto, getting a lot of the younger generation involved, and it pushed a lot of, sales of cryptocurrency, a lot of volume, and made the price go during the COVID from, I think at the bottom was like 3,000 all the way up to 69,000 in an 8-9 month period.
Yep.
And that was all because of people on TikTok talking about it and the information being able to get spread out. So TikTok is a great discovery platform for a lot of young people, for finance, stocks, crypto, and a lot of, even tips on how to save money. It's not all just, dancing women and bears or whatever.
Right.
It's people do use that as a search engine. I know that they even say younger people use TikTok as a true search engine over Google now. People under a certain age, they go into TikTok, type in what they want to learn or what they want to see or what they want to find out about, and they watch those videos. So the U.S. losing that will be pretty, eventful. But like I said, I don't believe that it's going to happen. I said this to you before. I think it's all a strategy so an American can own it. So I think at the last minute, somebody's going to come in, China's going to come to a deal, and they're going to sell it to like Musk or maybe Zuckerberg or, maybe even Mr. Wonderful. I don't think he has the capital, but he says he does. He could get the capital maybe. So somebody will get in at the last minute and buy it. That's what I think. This is all just a plan to get the power, something so powerful like TikTok over the U.S. hands.
Yeah, it's scary because it just comes back to manipulation, because if you think about it, who has the most to gain if TikTok goes away? Google, Meta, who else? Trump.
Meta, definitely.
Yeah, Meta's the biggest, and then Trump with X. But the thing of it is you would think they would want it to stay Amazon, because obviously we have all the TikTok
sales,
shop.
Yeah.
So when you take those big powerhouses that already have all of our information, that already manipulate all of our information, invade our privacy, all of that, TikTok getting banned is definitely not a national security issue. It is a manipulation issue because it's not wholly owned by a U.S. company and U.S. investors, although a big portion of it is owned by U.S. investors. So for me, it's another form of manipulation. I hope that TikTok stays. It's very important for all of my businesses and my personal brand, as it is for you. So we'll see what happens, and we'll keep you guys abreast in the coming days. So let's go to our next point, and that is Bitcoin's price prediction for the end of 2025. I've probably received 1,000 DMs in the last 3 months asking this question. So I'm just going to mention a prediction by Tom Lee, very, very smart, gifted gentleman that's in the crypto space, has been for a very long time. And he and his analysts predict $250,000 per Bitcoin by the end of 2025. I think it's a great prediction. It's pretty close to where I've been at. I said 200 to 225, but I love seeing these smart people that are not just throwing a number out there for clickbait, but actually analyzing what they believe is going to happen and where the price is going to go. So talk on that for a minute. We both respect Tom Lee, and give us your thoughts for why you think, even with all of this going on, we will see a $250,000 Bitcoin by the end of the year.
Yeah, I want to stick to 250 because that's what I said in 2023.
Yeah.
But I didn't. That prediction was based on Bitcoin getting to 100,000 end of the year, and it actually got there faster.
Yep.
I didn't know Trump was going to come out pro Bitcoin. I didn't even know Trump was going to run or win.
None of us did. Yeah.
We didn't know that all these things were going to happen. Now I said 250 with that previous environment. Now the environment has changed. I could see it going to 400,000 or 500,000. You know, I'm not going to say that because people say, my prediction and yours, Stu, is still 250.
Yep.
But I could see it going to 500 because Trump gets in. Trump has already went on record and say he's going to, literal words, I'm going to push it to 150 first few weeks in office. So then we're at 150 by the end of January. If he does he frees Ross Ulbricht, which is a big move for crypto. He does a strategic reserve. He mentions crypto or Bitcoin several times over the first month. He does 1 or 2 or 3 executive orders. We don't know. I could see him getting to 150, and from 150 to 250 is only a what? Not even it's like an 80, 70, 80% gain. I mean, so I think we can get to 400 this year, maybe even 500. Some people even say 800. I don't know about that far, but I think we can get past 250 because the environment has changed so much over the last year.
I agree with you. And one way to look at this, not just Bitcoin, but crypto in general, is we've seen what can happen on good news. As soon as Trump talked about no capital gains for U.S.-based crypto companies, XRP, XLM, HBAR, they all went through the roof.
Saw that, yeah.
You see how quickly things change. And that could happen literally overnight if Trump announces that we will have a Bitcoin reserve. So it's so important for everyone to understand that through these hype cycles, a lot can change overnight, and we could be eating our words. Bitcoin could spike from 100 to 250 in a couple weeks on all of this news, and as other countries add in their strategic reserves. And I think we're going to see it more and more in the coming months. So it's really important to understand that, and that is why we preach so much for everyone to dollar cost average, because one thing that I will stick to day and night for the rest of my life is no one knows exactly what's going to happen, because no one can control the narrative and what happens in the market as the news unfolds and as the adoption unfolds. All we can do is take prior history, analyze that some, look at what's happening now and what we believe is going to happen in the future to come up with some educated price predictions to help everyone figure out what to do in these investments. So I think it's important for everyone to understand that moving forward is if someone tells you they know the exact price of something, or they put a post out that says XRP is going to be XYZ or any of those, they're full of shit, because no one exactly knows. There is no science. There is no algorithm that can tell you exactly what's going to happen.
But you can make educated guesses.
Absolutely.
But by certain dates and stuff, that's very difficult.
And I don't even want to say educated guesses. You can deduce the information with the history and the future and figure out where you believe based on market cap, outstanding shares, et cetera, and figure out where things are going, because I don't ever want anyone to believe the information we're providing is guesswork. It's not guesswork, but no one knows exactly what's going to happen, because you could find out tomorrow that 2 new countries automatically that have been working behind the scenes to have a Bitcoin reserve could all of a sudden announce that, and then boom, out of the blue, there is more demand for it. So We talked about the good stuff. We've talked about the manipulation. We've talked about volatility. Let's talk about something that happened recently and what it means, because we've seen open interest drop recently on Bitcoin, which doesn't scare me at all. It's just news-based and knee-jerk reaction-based. And that was because of Fed rate concerns, but also that the Chicago Mercantile Exchange had a dropped interest on Bitcoin purchases through the ETFs and through all of the big players in the market. So let's talk about that, what it means relative to macroeconomic factors, and how it moves forward as Bitcoin grows in price.
Yeah, I don't think that's anything to worry about. No, a lot of times with investment, right before the spike or right before the exponential move up, there is a chasm period where people give up on something. So that I could see that's probably what's happening now, is that people are starting to, like, oh, it hasn't moved up in the last 2 months. It did a big movement after the election. So people, the average investor out there, which is sad, is that they want to be hyped up all the time.
Yeah.
They want to be in the middle of something. They want to be part of something. And most of investment, 90% of it is boring. Nothing's happening.
Yep.
You wake up in the day, check your investment, it hasn't moved.
Yep.
And there's only like 4 or 5 days a year that you get those big movements up. And that's your 20, 30, 40, 100%. Whatever gain you make over the year is over 4 or 5 days, really.
Yep.
But people don't really realize that. They want excitement. So a lot of times the open interest or just the general interest of a crypto or any other asset starts to drop right before the big movement up. So that's what I think is happening here. And I think we're going to see if that's true on Inauguration Day and the day after. But right now it's just a wait and see period. But
Yeah.
I think that we're going to be strong going into Inauguration.
Well, you brought up a good point. I'm still very bullish on the stock market for 2025 and the crypto market, but you brought up a great point, and that is way too many people invest with emotion. They want the highs, they want the euphoria and all that, and good investors don't really feel that way. When I see a correction, I think of it as an opportunity, not as a problem. And so for me, I'm still bullish moving forward and have a ton of long-term optimism because I feel we're so early on. And I just want everyone to understand that you have to get in the right mindset to be a really good investor and try to do your best to take the emotion out of it. And I promise you, as a 35-year investor, it will get easier for you not to look at the day-to-day price and be able to zoom out and understand the long-term fundamentals of where you're at and why the investment makes sense. So talk about the fundamentals a little bit and where you're at right now moving forward for your future outlook.
Yeah, I think the fundamentals are very strong. Any pullback could present a buying opportunity for the next couple of weeks. I think once the inauguration hits, you're not going to have those buying opportunities anymore. I think, like I said, it's a buy on the news event. He's going to confirm that he's going to do these things, and Bitcoin's going to spike up similar to what we saw after the election.
Yep.
When it went from it was like 60,000 or so all the way up to 90 in a matter of weeks. I think we're going to see that move from 100 all the way to 150 in a matter of weeks as well. And also XRP may double. Ethereum, I think, is going to start doing well because it's a little bit behind right now, but it's going to start catching up. Then the altcoin, that will kick off altcoin season. I think just the inauguration is just a big moment in the cycle this time. And because it's such a clear-cut moment, right, a black and white moment, it actually divided cryptocurrency this time. Like if it was a normal cycle, we would have saw movement up until the election.
Yep.
But because people know the election's on the horizon, they're going to pull capital back and wait. So that causes that lull period we talked about earlier, and it also is going to cause an exponential move up afterwards, right? Because it's a clear, in the last cycle, we had no moment that everybody was waiting on for something big to happen in crypto to see what was going to happen. So that causes that lull in open interest before the drop, and afterwards is where we see the exponential move up.
Well, and if you think about it too, it's kind of interesting to watch how much manipulation and how many big news cycles are happening right before the inauguration. It's all of this crazy last minute stuff that's happening. And there's a lot of uncertainty in the world because we just had the fires, we had all of the hurricanes leaving hundreds of thousands of people, without homes. There has been a lot going on that is not positive news for the markets and the crypto markets in general. And I think that's important for everyone, as I stated earlier, that that deep thinking moment to think about the bigger picture rather than the day-to-day news cycles, because there's always opportunities with that. And then I want to end with one thing. I did a quick research this morning, and it is around the question of so many people saying, are we still early? I want to touch on something that is very important that I researched this morning, and that is the question that I'm getting asked a ton. Are we still early? And I did the research, and a quick stat that I think is super important for everyone to understand is only 22% of U.S. adults over 18 own more than $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency.
It's crazy.
That is a huge stat. So anyone out there that's unsure if it's too late in cryptocurrency, too late for Bitcoin, remember that stat. Only 22% of U.S. adults own more than $1,000 worth of cryptocurrency. Very, very important to illustrate that we are still early. So I want to thank everyone for stopping by each and every week and following along at the Crypto Trends Podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Crypto Trends Podcast, on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And we appreciate you sharing the podcast, giving us those 5-star reviews, and passing along to a friend that's looking to invest in cryptocurrency, AI, or Web 3.0. Thank you so much.